God damn it. Bobby! What happened?
Oh, this house. It's terrible. Ouch.
Gross.
It's filled with shitty Resident Evil knockoffs.
Oh no!
Oh, I need you to go and play all of them. It's the only way.
Fuck that, fam. I'm out. Kid thinks I'm playing with those stank-ass tank controls. He's got another thing coming. I've been playing this game for 3 hours. I hope Bobby's okay. Right? You good? I lost track of time. That's fucking gross.
Well, shit, guys, that was some crazy shit. I'm your host, Bob Zombie, in full character, as you can see. And welcome to the Mischief Gaming Show's 2016 Halloween Extravaganza! And what are we doing for this Halloween? Well, we're gonna play some Resident Evil rip-offs, as mentioned before. We're not gonna play one of these. We're not gonna review 2 of these. We're not gonna review just 3 of these. We're gonna review 4 of these fucking games! So I hope you're ready for some mediocrity! And bad camera angles! And all kinds of crazy shit! You know, the spoopies and the scares! And some shit that's just why? Why did they do this? Ready for the bad controls? Are you ready for the bad camera angles? Are you ready for the terrible voice acting? Well, you're tuning into the right place.
So Martian Gothic for the PlayStation 1 is a very unique but similar game to Resident Evil. It has a lot of standout features as well as its own frustrations. And you know what? So an Asian guy, a black guy, and a British girl land on Mars. They fucking get their heads caught in a fishbowl. Or at least that's what you would think by the cover anyhow. You play as 3 characters. At the same time, similar to Resident Evil, but the characters aren't allowed to be on the same screen at once like in Resident Evil 0, but you will be able to switch between them in order to progress and swap items and that sort of thing. The voice acting seems to be a little bit better than the original Resident Evil, but the dialogue at times seems dumb as shit and just makes you want to scream "Duh" to your fucking television, and most of the time the voice actors just sound bored out of their mind. And you know what? These characters just talk way too much sometimes. Like, you'll be walking down a hallway, and then suddenly this bitch interrupts the whole game and start talking about nonsense 9 out of 10 times. Some of the stuff is really irrelevant, and other stuff is pretty useful. They help you with puzzles and stuff like that. So, take that as you will. Now, this game saw the item management that Resident Evil did and cranked that shit up to 11. My god, there are a lot of fucking items in this game, most of which are useless. Not to mention, the game starts you off with a bunch of useless shit on your person. You know, thanks, you fucking cunts. There's not enough, like, shit I gotta carry around as is. And you know what? Storage containers are limited. They're not unlimited like in Resident Evil. And they're designed so if you leave an item in a specific storage container, you gotta go to that specific storage container and grab it, okay? Which kinda sucks, but makes the game have a more realistic feel to it. I wish you could just drop items anywhere like in Resident Evil 0. Also, there's a fake gun, so watch out for that because it doesn't do anything. It's like a dart gun. The game gives you a little bit of a heads up on that, so yeah, it's so stupid though. Why the fuck are you even having the game? Stupid. Not only are there useless items, every file and audio log in this game also takes up an inventory space. I mean, you guys really couldn't make a separate menu for this shit. It's really annoying to fucking have it pick up a piece of paper with a fucking note on it and, like, choose between that and some ammo. I mean, Jesus Christ. So as you just heard, this game does have audio logs, which I enjoy a lot. I'd rather listen to someone's demise rather than read it. Although, sometimes reading it can be just as creepy, if not more, because, you know, the voice acting isn't all that great. Now, one good thing about the items is that they all have a voice-over description, which is really great because by most of these icons, I can't tell what the fuck they are. And you know what? This game really got the most out of its voice acting staff. So, this game has a lot of similarities to Dead Space, but way out before Dead Space, and just a lot worse than Dead Space. You see, an alien parasite causes everyone to kill each other with, like, guns and stuff, turning them back into a zombified state with, like, telepathic powers and stuff like that. It's kind of weird. There's a computer that fucks with you, kind of like in System Shock and other games, but it's not as big as a dick as the Red Queen from those Resident Evil movies. However, she does pull a dick move at the end of the game, and the end of the game kind of sucks, so Now, let's talk about the worst aspect of this game. The controls. My god, the tank controls in this game suck. I mean, they just feel really, really chunky, or I don't know how to describe them properly, but it feels like I have to force it like more than what I have to with other games. It's not as smooth as Resident Evil or, as you'll see in this video, Countdown Vampires. It's just really bad, and it only gets worse when enemies are around, because you're stuck in these tight corridors, and maneuvering around these enemies is not easy at all. And the enemies sort of have a lunge to them, and you could die really quick because the enemies tend to have like a double lunge effect, and it's just bullshit. More time could have been taken to fix the controls and the enemy design, I think, a bit for this one. Another thing to note about the enemies is that they can't technically die. You could shoot them down, but they regenerate a little bit later. And if you switch to a different character while a dead body is present, it instantly like gets up and attacks that character you left behind. So in order to get anything done, you have to constantly move characters to a safe zone without any dead bodies and then run back. I don't know, it's just really annoying that they can't defend themselves while you're dealing with another character's problems. And it's really sad because at the beginning of this game, I was really intrigued by it. It took me a while to figure out what to do. You have to find a radio in the spacesuit in the same room and then go out, and you have to be a particular character in order to get out of the room. Very, very linear what you have to do here, but it was really engaging. Like, I really wanted to figure out more, and then I just got to the combat, and it was just terrible. One thing to note, though, about the combat, which I thought was pretty interesting, for the time at least, is that you can walk and shoot at the same time, and it has similar controls to Resident Evil. There's no auto lock or anything, so you have to shoot manually, which is somewhat a pain in the ass, but they do have like 360 degree turning and whatnot, although it really doesn't work good. You know, like I said, the controls are just clunky and ugh. Now, the music in this game is really good and overall matches the tone and creepy vibe that this game is trying to come across. The atmosphere is good, although I don't think it was necessary for them to force like a mansion aspect or section in this game, because I'd rather just see them on like a space station that's, you know, wrecked, like a wrecked space station. They did not need to take that much from Resident Evil as they did. The graphics are like, I think they could have been way better for the time. They're very chunky. I'm going to use that word again. And I think that also has something to do with the controls, is the graphics. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Just to note, this is a small budget project, so take that into account. And just kind of like a duh, there is a PC version of this game. It looks far better. The PlayStation version. And you know, all in all, I gotta say, I'm pretty disappointed by this game, because I was enjoying myself until I get up to the combat and the very, very complicated puzzles with these useless items and shit you would think would work. For instance, I found a screwdriver, right? And it said, well, in order to turn this control panel on, you're gonna need a screwdriver. So I got my character that had the screwdriver, ran all the way to the room on the opposite side of where I was at, sent the screwdriver down to the girl, The girl got the screwdriver, went all the way back to where I found that panel, and guess what? It didn't fucking work. It said, wow, this is a screwdriver. It should work for some reason. Well, fuck you, game, and fuck your backwards ass logic, because that shit should have worked, okay? Jesus fucking Christ, this game is fucking complicated. And it's not complicated in a good way. It's complicated in a frustrating way. Both with its controls, its puzzles. But like I said, there is good here, but it's just overrun by the bad. If you have a lot of patience, I would at least try this game. It's fairly cheap. I think you can get it sealed for $10. And most players are disappointed by that shitty ending because the computer tells you one thing. It ends up pulling a dick move. I'm not trying to spoil it, but, you know, things explode, obviously. Solo in a Dark and New Nightmare was a game for not only the PlayStation, but PC and the Dreamcast, I believe. And I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I did not get far at this game at all because it was just not a game I found to be fun. But I'm gonna share with you what I played, thus far. So you get a choice between two characters. Edward Cornby, who starts the game with a magnum gun, or Aline, and I don't know, I think the developers need to look up the definition of characteristics because these are just like random like facts and what the guy has on him. But okay. So I don't think the CGI is all that great. I don't know why, but they remind me of like soulless sex dolls or something just talking to each other. It just looks weird when they talk. But anyway, Edward is investigating a murder of his friend in a place called Shadow Island, as well as collecting ancient tablets, which I'm sure unlock a bunch of like evil stuff or whatever. And as they fly over Shadow Island, the plane is attacked by a monster of some sorts, and our heroes are forced to use what looks like to be one of those string backpacks to jump out of the plane. It's really a parachute. Edward lands on the outside courtyard of the manor, while the girl lands on the roof. They use walkie-talkies to communicate, just like some other game that I know of. But the dialogue seems to change depending on what character you are. So let's start off with Edward first. Well, this move before he starts off with a gun, and as you're walking down a path, you find like a little hut. And within that hut is a man who is missing his arm, and somehow he did not lose enough blood to die yet. And this scene kind of reminds me of something.
Oh, man. Who are you? Oh, you must be the new guy. Leon. Sorry, but it looks like your party has been canceled. What happened? About 2 months ago, there was this incident involving zombies in a mansion located in the outskirts of this city. Chris and the other STARS members discovered that Umbrella was behind everything. They risked their lives to reveal the truth, but no one believed them. Not long after that, all this started to happen. Hang in there. Don't worry about me. Just rescue the survivors in the other rooms. Here, take this key card. You should be able to unlock the doors in the hall with this. Now go. But just go.
No, don't move. Don't.
Leave me be. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die.
Who did this to you?
This island is a hellhole. Not men. Filthy beasts. Flee! Get out of here any way you can.
How did you get here?
The boat. Last shipment. He shot everyone.
Look, just try to stay calm. You've got a gun. I'm leading you some bullets. I'll go and find help.
But you'll die like everyone else. Run.
I'll be back.
Well, anyhow, you get a basic key off of him, which lets you proceed on through a gate, and you meet your first enemy of the game. A zombie dog. Really? Really? A zombie dog? They couldn't be a little bit more original with this shit? I mean, Jesus Christ, I know Resident Evil based itself on Alone in the Dark, but man, they're taking a lot from Resident Evil with this so far. I mean, jeez. And you know what? The zombie dog even had to be a fucking Doberman? I mean, really? A Doberman? They couldn't make it like I don't know, a German Shepherd or something? I mean, be a little bit original, but... Yeah, anyway, during this fight, you find out how the controls are, and they kinda suck. And unlike Martian Gothic, the controls feel really loose and slippery, and they have a little bit more momentum than needed, I guess you could say. Which makes it hard to shoot enemies and focus in on that aspect, but it does make running away from enemies a lot easier, and like Martian Gothic, you can walk and shoot in this game, which is pretty cool. After I ran from the dogs, I ran into the next enemy, which just sort of appears, and you know what, I hate this sort of shit in games. I just think it's frustrating and kind of lazy, and it just comes out of nowhere. I just don't like it. I don't know why I feel this way exactly, but I don't know. Anyway, this enemy kind of just looks like a tick. It's very lame, and I don't know. It's kind of lazy. I don't know. I just don't like the enemy designs in this game. I then found an underwater sewerway and pretty much died instantly from whatever was down there. And I don't know if there's a way to defend yourself while swimming. I think it's stupid to have a flooded level this early on in the game, and I'm done with that. Let's take a look at the girl's campaign. She ends up getting in the house via a window when you find an old woman in a bed that warns you of the dangers on the island and explains the creatures do not like light. You then use a light to kill one of the monsters. It looks like a dragon that was like inbred one too many times. And after that, you're on your own. The hallways are filled with these liquor wannabe creatures that also look like ticks but attack with their tongue. I mean, again, real original here game. You can't really kill them with your light. You can kind of just stun them and they sort of move back, but the whole light gimmick in this game doesn't work at all that great in my opinion. I think it's just kind of lame. The only way to kill them or to get them away from that area is to find a light switch, turn a light switch on, and then they're no more. Now, something that really pisses me off is that there are keys in this game you have to use to unlock doors, as you could imagine, but the keys all look the same, have the same description, and they don't differentiate themselves enough to figure out which door they go to. And you have to use these keys on particular doors, so I don't know, it just sort of seems lazy. I don't know why they couldn't name these keys different things, or just have a different color, or just something. It really pisses me off, and fuck that. And this is as far as I got in the game because I couldn't figure out where to go. I got bored. I did look up the ending, and it doesn't look like I missed much at all in this game. The ending looks bare bones and stupid. And all in all, I gotta say, I would pass on this game if I were you guys. I'm passing it on for myself because I just don't want to play this. I'd rather play Alone in the Dark Inferno. And to tell you the truth, I like that game a lot more. At least it was fun. This game is just boring, and I can't want it. So, next. Evil Dead Hail to the King is a game for PlayStation 1, and it's a game that I would just like to bring up briefly because I, again, didn't play that much of it because I just couldn't. Yeah, anyhow, I would still wanted to talk about it because it's actually a game I had as a kid, and I remember seeing it in my local game store and going, oh man, I really like this movie. So I asked the guy to look at the back, and I looked at it, and it looked just like Resident Evil, so you know I had to get it because I love Resident Evil. Now, to my surprise, Bruce Campbell's actually in this game, and he does a decent job voice acting. The plot of this game is actually pretty stupid. It takes place right after the last Evil Dead movie. Ash is starting to have nightmares again, so his girlfriend thinks it's a good idea to go back to the place where his friends all died, and where he was sucked back in time to fight the Evil Dead. And he's all like, oh, okay, I'm good with that, no problem. Not only was he dumb enough for going back, but he leaves the tape recorder out in the open. Why didn't he smash that the first, chance he got? Anyway, his evil hand comes out of nowhere and turns it back on. All hell breaks loose. And they end up capturing his girlfriend and whatnot. Who gives a shit? At this point, that bitch can go. Yeah, anyway, the CGI in this game looks really bad. And it's just something, no. It's bad. It's really bad. However, your mission in this game is to survive, save the girl, and collect the pages of the Necronomicon. The game starts off and oh my god, the controls are bad. Probably the worst controls in this review. It makes Martian Gothic look like a AAA masterpiece. I mean, Jesus Christ. The commands are not where you think they should be, and there's so many extra buttons because not only do you have a gun for shooting, you also have a chainsaw. So you have a gun, and a melee, and it's just like backwards as hell. But in order to use the chainsaw, you have to turn it on with like another button, but you can dry hit with the chainsaw. I don't know why they made that so fucking complicated. But anyway, the button you think is used to like pick up shit is actually used for fucking shooting the gun, and it's sort of confusing. The run button is located on the top, like on the triggers of the controller, if you will, and you know, normally it's on the not the D-pad, but where the buttons are located. So I don't know, it's just a fucking mess. Anyhow, you can go and pick up items, but as soon as you pick up something, it opens up in a menu, and if you're like clicking too fast, you can easily click it and then use that item right away. So let's say it's health, you just wasted health, and there's like no confirmation on like whether or not like you want to like use that shit. For whatever reason, the profile image in the game is like Bloody Ash from like Evil Dead 2. I don't know why they couldn't just use like a normal picture of him, but whatever, it's just being nitpicky bullshit. Yeah, anyhow, all the enemies in this game are just like, they pop out of nowhere, and I really hate it. It's just really fucking annoying. It's a problem I had with the other game too, and I just can't want that. The only good thing I do say is that the enemies do drop shit, but they take way too many hits to kill, and everything just runs out really quick in this game. Like, you might as well just run the fuck around. But like I said, the controls are bad, and the camera angles and shit switch up so frequently that it's so confusing and just not worth it. Like, it's just not worth it to play this game. And I don't know, everything just feels unbalanced, maybe a little unfinished, and I just can't. I'm done. Fuck this game. I'm done. So is it Vampire Countdown or Countdown Vampires? I mean, the cover isn't really helping me figure this one out, and either way, I think it's a dumb fucking name for sure. Also, check out this box art I found on Google. I mean, I hope this is real because it's just 10 out of 10 fucking awesome. And I gotta say, if I could buy it, I would. I don't know if this is... Let me know if this is real now. You know, let me know. Anyhow, if you haven't figured this out already, this is a PlayStation 1 game, and out of all the games I'm gonna play, I gotta say, this is the closest one to come to emulating the feel of Resident Evil. And I don't mean it's as good as Resident Evil. Hell, it's far from it. But the controls are smooth for tank controls, and the game does come close to feeling like Resident Evil 2 as far as speed and all-around movability. So, with that out of the way, let's talk story. So you play as Keith, a detective who for some reason is half naked in a duster in a casino nightclub when the shit hits the fan. I don't know what the fuck's going on in this scene. I mean, there's like fucking Jason Voorhees bartender looking motherfucker, and then a cat with blood red eyes, and then a vampire outbreak and a fire, and then the vampires try to kill the entire party in like seconds, and then there's like this dude who has he's tranquilizing the vampires, and then the vampire falls into water, and he's whitewater.
You alright? What are they? Get out of here! They're vampires! This whitewater turns them back to normal.
So that happens, and what the fuck? This dude's voice does not match him at all, and all around, I gotta say, the voice acting in this game is terrible. Everyone sounds like they're either stupid or fucking annoying. Either one, you know, describes both. They're just bad. Anyhow, this guy saves your life, gives you a tranquilizer gun, and darts off. The CGI for the time, I don't believe was bad. It wasn't fantastic, and this scene makes no fucking sense, but it is what it is. Anyhow, the game starts you off by surrounding you by bloodthirsty vampires. And true enough to the title, there's a countdown. I mean, well, fuck, this game treats you like a little kid not knowing how to swim and just throws you the fuck in that lake. You start off with the tranquilizer gun, as mentioned before, and a stun globe. I think they mean glove, but whatever. It doesn't really stun them anyway. You kind of give them a 5-finger death punch to their fucking vampire face. The tranquilizer takes way too many hits to put the vampires to sleep. It's just kind of ridiculous. But remember that white water the guy was talking about. The game's gonna remind you multiple times.
This whitewater turns them back to normal.
You somehow have an unlimited supply of it. I guess you make it yourself in your pants. And you kind of have to just jerk the white water all over the vampires' faces to turn them back to normal. But you do get rewarded, you do get paid for doing this in the form of J. What is J? J is the currency of the game. And what can you do with this J? Well, you can go to vending machines and you can buy yourself food, or drink, or bottle. Or you can gamble your life away and play slots and roulette, and boy, is it fun. You remember how in Dead Space you were like an engineer and you had to like fix a bunch of shit, and it kind of made sense because you were an engineer? Well, in this game you have to play a detective who thinks he's some kind of backwards ass electrician, because that's all you do is turn the electrical on. That's all you do. You fucking run around, you gotta turn the power on to things. That's it. Put the power back to the elevator, put the power back to this door, put the power back to that door. That said, the puzzles are pretty easy. There's only a few that might stump you, but all in all, they're kind of whatever. This game does have a problem with bad camera angles and sketchy pre-rendered backgrounds, and it makes it really hard to see fucking doors at times. Like, there's a gray wall with a gray door and I couldn't find it, and well, fuck me, it's really hard to see. Not only that, you know, with some of the camera angles, I couldn't find the fucking doors. Like, there was this hatch, and the camera angle was pulled all the way back to the other side of the room, and how the fuck was I supposed to know there was a hatch there? And then there was this other instance where I just didn't trigger the camera angle. I couldn't see the fucking door, and I was running around for 40 minutes not knowing where the fuck anything was. And it was kind of frustrating when it was just that. Now, that said, the item models in this game are fairly easy to see because they're just yellow boxes lying around everywhere, and that goes for every item in the game. Keys, money, papers, what have you. Even the fucking weapons, which I think should have their own model to indicate what the fuck they are just in yellow boxes. And like I said, it just comes across as lazy to me. Speaking of weapons, you have so many weapons that you're not going to know what to do with, and you don't really need all of them. Now let's talk enemy design. All in all, I think they're pretty good. Nothing really tops anything that Resident Evil's done, but well, whatever. And some are even kind of goofy. Now we got the vampires who act like zombies, but they sound pretty fucking funny when I shoot them, so take that as you will. And not only do they have, like, they're not just a one-speed pony, you know, they got 3 different types of speed. Slow, hunchback, and fucking fast. The next enemy is this weird-ass Scyther from Pokemon looking motherfucker, and I don't even know where the fuck they pulled this shit out their ass, but, alright, whatever. Next is a werewolf. Okay, I guess I was expecting that one, at least that's somewhat normal. The next one, which I think are the best in the game, are the Man-Bats. And I think these are the scariest out of the game. Not only are they designed like they look cool, they move creepily, but they will fuck you up, and they are a threat. Next we have this blob monster that just shoots purple bubbles at you. It kind of reminds me of Ivy from Resident Evil 2, except stupid. And the last enemy introduced in the game are these small vampires that suck the blood at your dick. I gotta say though, this game will let 2 enemies attack you at once, which I feel is pretty cool. I think it's something that Resident Evil could have did with the zombies, made it more horde-ish, but I don't know, I just wanted to throw that out there. The sound in this game, the music just sucks. I honestly didn't enjoy any of it, to be honest. It's very forgettable and annoying at times. Now, I was not thrilled with the location placement of this game. Now, you start off with a casino, and you know what, I'll bite. You know what, if that's where it takes place at, that's where it takes place. But why the fuck does a casino have a lab and a tomb? And then you go from a casino to a spooky house. I get the spooky house because the casino has a horror theme to it. Okay, cool, that's like the, you know, that's the fucking, you know, theme. Get up, whatever. Okay, awesome. You had to have a spooky house in there, I get you. But anyway, you go from that, then you insert the second disc, and you go to this little town, and then from the little town you go to the dam. The dam is the last area of the game, and the dam somehow has the same ass tomb. Not the same lab, but also a lab. Like, I don't know, it just feels disjointed as hell. The game goes on, and it's just well over its welcoming, and it just drags. It's really repetitive, and I just wanted it to end at times. There are only 3 boss fights in this game. You have one at the end of the casino in a parking lot, and it's just like this thing that's on all 4s that shoots bubbles at you, and if you keep your distance, it shouldn't be too much of a problem. Then, during the dam sequence, after you enter the tomb, 3 witch-like beings come and they start shooting at you and they're flying around, they're fucking annoying. Well, the last boss is just them recycled, and, you know, it's kind of fucking lazy. And guess what? Some reason you fight them in a parking lot too, but whatever. I guess that's the game for you. Oh, I almost forgot to mention her because she's pretty fucking forgettable. There's like 2 other people you meet throughout this game. There's like this hunter guy who just comes up behind you and points a gun at you and just says all this weird, mysterious shit. I originally thought he was a bad guy, but it turns out he's not a bad guy. He was a good guy or some shit. I don't know. He died stupidly. And then there's this Masoto bitch who is like an Ada Wong ripoff that serves as Keith's love interest, and it's just fucking stupid. She's terrible. This ending is fucking terrible because all they do is kiss. There's like a little jump scare thing, but all in all, it was stupid. But I didn't get to the best part because I found out that there is the true story mode called Special Story, which gives you characters that were in the beginning cutscene and added story. It just should have been the main fucking game. I don't know why they did this, I guess to extend the life of the game, but it's really fucking annoying because you have to go through the game in under 7 hours in order to unlock the real story, so they want you to play through this game twice, and I'm not fucking doing it. But you know what pisses me off the most about this is that the voice actor. Listen to this voice.
I see. All right. We don't have time. We have to save as many people as we can.
You're right. Okay. Let's help the guests and staff and then meet down in the parking lot.
What about contacting headquarters?
No good. The radio relay station's been knocked out. At this range, we can't contact them directly from here.
That means we have to go back.
Keith, this is a serious situation. Help us out! We can't do much if we stick together. It's better if we split up. Each man for himself.
That's okay by me. It's the same whether I help VIPs or guests.
That's good. Keith, I'll meet you in the basement parking lot.
What is this?
What is this? What is it? What is this? What is it? What is it?
What is it? That was the voice of Barry Burton right there, ladies and gentlemen. He's in the fucking game, but in order to fucking hear him or see this, you gotta fucking play through this game a second time, and I'm not fucking doing it. No way, Jose. And you gotta do it on normal mode. I went through this game on easy, so I was fucked. And there is another boss fight, and it's Gels, which is this guy who they've been talking about through this whole game, and you don't get to fight him unless you do that special story mode. And you get to fight him as Vampire Keith. Okay, whatever. You can also unlock Vampire Keith by a very, very easy, simple way. You enter Prince and Darkness as your name in the beginning of the game, and you unlock this little mini game where you get to play as Vampire Keith and beat up normal people and kill them. Jesus Christ, this game just dragged on way too long. Yeah, anyhow, if you're a fan of the original Resident Evil games and that style of, you know, pre-rendered backgrounds, finding shit, running around, then you're gonna enjoy this game. Don't play it for the story, because the story is trash. The gameplay's okay. It just overstays its welcome, I think. All in all, I have to say this game is, like, average at best. I don't know. It's just... It's good. It's just not good all at once, I guess you could say. Short burst, I think this game would be best at. But anyway, on to the next pile of shit. Here we go. Black Souls Extended Edition for PC was a game I was really excited for, especially for $7. It looked like a classic survival horror game by having fixed camera angles, heavy emphasis on atmosphere and puzzle elements and whatnot. At least that's what you get from the trailer. No, when I went into this, I saw the reviews were mostly negative, and I took it with a grain of salt. There are a few problems with this game that are holding it back. I honestly feel like this could be something more if time was taken to fix a certain amount of things and make it run properly on different types of Windows, because I think you have to have like a Windows 7 or earlier for it to really work or run properly. I have Windows, I think 8. I'm running Windows 8, and the text comes real small. You can't see what the fuck anything is as far as in the menu section. As far as I know, there's no controller support, which is a real letdown because this game needs it. I think if this game were to come out on consoles where everything is just mainstreamed, it would have done it some favors. I believe all the bugs and shit come from it being on PC, where everyone has, you know, a different build and different operating systems and whatnot. I think that's where the problem lies. There are a few faults other than the technical aspect of the game, such as some of the puzzles are a little bit complicated. The other thing I was having an issue with is because it was in mouse and keyboard, I would only be able to get it to run in a windowed mode. I couldn't get it to run full screen for whatever fucking reason, right? And the problem was I would try and you turn the character with the mouse, then you use WASD to guide them which way you want them to go, and the character would turn. I'd try to get him to turn a certain way, and I'd end up exiting out the game and not saving, and it'll be a really frustrating feeling because you would sort of get into it. Now the problems that this game has are graphically, I don't really mind that too much. It's something I can look past. One thing I did not like though was the sound design. The carpets and walkways were a little too crunchy and loud for me. In the beginning, there's an opening scene where you have to walk a lot, and it was just too much. They could have cut that down a bit. The rain sound effects were a little loud, shit like that, but that's all shit I can get past. I really feel this game could be better if more time was put into it. I gotta stress that. Like, the combat in this game, at least from what I played with it, there was melee weapons, there was also some gunplay. It felt good. It wasn't the worst thing I've ever played, you know what I mean? It felt like it needed to. The character movement's a little slow, but again, I'm using a mouse and keyboard where I'm used to a controller, so I don't really want to judge it too harshly on its controls, because I didn't like the aspect of it being mouse and keyboard in the first place. For $7, it's not the worst bang for the buck. You could get a game like The Letter for $2, and this is way more significant. This has more time, this is more effort into the gunplay and everything, and it's honestly worth $7 in my opinion. Especially when you look at some of the other games on Steam. Like I said, it just needs more time to it. There's just something missing. It needs controller support. It needs to be optimized for certain operating systems, and it's really sad that it's not looking like it's getting any more updates. And I would actually like to see either a sequel or an update for this game with controller support and some of those bugs fixed. I mean, the bugs aren't like terrible. There was one that, like, you know, I had to reboot my game, but it's not, I don't know, it's not something that would kill it for me. It's not like a deal breaker. The deal breaker for me was the controls, the mouse and keyboard controls, because I just can't stand it, and the fact that I couldn't get it in a full screen mode, and the fact that I couldn't read what the fuck was going on within the text because it came out so small. Again, it has to be something to do with my operating software, which is a shame. That's really all I have to say. I honestly didn't make it this far, but where I did go, I was enjoying myself for the most part. And I mean, I was frustrated because I wanted it to work, and it just didn't work. Judging by the trailer, there's also an over-the-shoulder mode where it's more like Resident Evil 4, and it kind of just gives you the best of both worlds. In a budget title, an extremely budgeted indie title, and if you have the operating software and you don't mind mouse and keyboard controls, I'd say give it a shot. You know, look at it. If it's your thing, go for it. You know, hopefully fix this shit. So I gotta say, looking at these games really makes me appreciate the effort and love and attention to detail that Resident Evil and Silent Hill and Fatal Frame actually put into their games to make them work so nicely compared to these games. I mean, it really shows you how a developer can fuck up a survival horror game with fixed camera angles and tank controls and that sort of thing fairly easy. And it really shows you how easy it is to make your game boring and unplayable to people, and I don't know, it just makes me appreciate those games more. Not all of these were that bad, mind you. I could recommend Countdown Vampires and Martian Gothic to people. I think those were the most playable games out this list. And even Black Soul to an extent, if you have the right operating software to run it, as well as being used to mouse and keyboard controls. And I want to give a shout out to my friend Vampire Skeleton, and I have a challenge for you, man. I want you to play Countdown Vampires, and I want you to beat it on normal difficulty in under 7 hours and get that special story mode I was talking about. I would like to see you do that. If you guys don't know who Vampire Skeleton is, he's a friend of mine, and he has a Twitch streaming channel which he streams a lot of Resident Evil, Duke Nukem, real cool games that I think you guys would enjoy. So if you're looking to watch a streamer, I'd say check him out. I'm gonna have his link in the description. Keep up the good work, man, and yeah, keep gaming.
Well, that concludes the Mischief Gaming Show's 2016 Halloween extravaganza. As you can imagine, those are some fucking grueling games to get through, but we did it. We did it. And I hope you enjoyed yourselves along the way. For more stuff like this, keep it here to Mischief Gaming. If you like this video, give it a like. That'd be great. If you hated it, thumbs it down. Comment. Tell me you love me. Tell me you fucking hate me. Just let me know. That way I can improve on myself. Oh my gosh. If you're new to the channel, just to let you know, this channel is mainly about video game reviews and live streams on PlayStation 4 and PC. We do some other things occasionally, like giveaways and stuff, but mainly this is what the channel's about. And if you subscribe, I just want to welcome you to the family, son.